Welcome to Feagan and Finch, the podcast where we discuss everything football related. I'm Alex Finch.
And I'm Ryan Feagan. Let's talk football.
So this week, it was always coming this week's podcast.
Yep.
The podcast discussing maybe the biggest debate in football, maybe
It is
biggest
the
debate
age-old
football,
question.
Yeah, maybe the biggest debate football will ever have in terms of who is the greatest ever, at least in this generation.
Yeah.
Ronaldo or Messi. We don't even need to provide context to this. Two of the greatest ever. You all know the stats. You all know what they've done. But can we say one's better than the other? Is one a little bit better than the other? What constitutes one being better than the other? So the stats are very similar. So we'll be discussing the A to Z, who's better, who can go down as the greatest ever. Can they both go down equally? We'll be discussing it, the pros and cons.
Yeah.
Where do we start?
Oh, Finch. Where do you start, man? I always thought to myself, right, ever since a young age, when I first saw Lionel Messi play, properly, this was in the 2009 Champions League final. I was like, wow, this guy is the best player in the world at this minute. I didn't think he was the best ever at that moment in time. Then, as football progresses and he progresses, he just seemed to get better and better. And then as the 2014 World Cup hit and Messi was one of the stars of that show, I thought, right, that's it. He is the greatest to ever do this. He is absolutely fantastic. And I just didn't really consider Ronaldo. I did consider Ronaldo into that conversation, of course, but I was thinking more it's like Messi, Maradona, etc., etc. I just thought Ronaldo would be in the top 5 or whatever. But as time's gone on, I've grown to appreciate Cristiano Ronaldo a lot more for all that he's done for himself and for football. He is a phenomenal athlete. He is a next level. He is a definition, right, of the perfect athlete. The guy is 35, 36 years old, and he is in peak physique, man. He could play top-tier football for any team in the world for the next 5 years, I'd say. He'll be playing till he's 40, Finch.
He's a freak. He'll be like Zlatan is. What Zlatan's doing?
But
absolute freak.
He will be, mate. He'll be insane. He just seems to be getting better with age. At the end of the day, he is fantastic. A complete footballer, just like Lionel Messi, and we are so lucky that we are seeing two all-time greats, the top 2 footballers ever, by the way, be able to.
Yeah.
Well, me and you, we're able to watch these players.
Yeah, we're lucky to have them in our generation. It's weird because what you said. Messi seemed like Ronaldo obviously established himself best player in the world in sort of 2008 when he was at Man United. Had an absolutely incredible season. He won the Champions League. He did absolutely wonders part of that front three with Rooney and Tevez. And Messi was a bit younger than Messi's 2 years younger. People always forget this. Very similar in ages, but Messi's just a little bit younger. So he just wasn't quite as established then. So that's why Ronaldo was able to get to the top of the bunch a bit quicker.
Yeah.
But then from 2009, you thought Messi was on the top of the world. He established himself as the best player in the world when Ronaldo went to Madrid. Barcelona were the best team in the world at that point. And it seemed like Messi was going to continue being the best player in the world for his whole career. He's going to win the Ballon d'Or every year. He won it 4 times in a row between 2009 and 2012. And it didn't look like it was going to stop. The crazy thing was how Ronaldo came back after those four consecutive wins for the Ballon d'Or from Messi, being part of the best team ever. It looked like he was. You couldn't put him off the pedestal where Messi was, but I don't know how. Ronaldo somehow came back and then won the Ballon d'Or 2 years in a row. 2013, 2014, then 2016, 2017. So 4 out of 5 years, he won the Ballon d'Or, which is absolutely incredible feat considering he was against Messi and Messi won the previous 4. But Ronaldo just went absolutely. He was absolutely unbelievable. You've got to be unbelievable to beat Messi for the Ballon d'Or. And
mate,
broke records in terms of his goal scoring in that sort of period. He in the 2014-2015 season, let's look at, he got 48 goals in 35 matches, 61 in 54. They both were getting the goal scoring records. You don't even need
their goal scoring record is just disgusting, Finch. Before these two, you never see players getting these amount of goals every single season, but these two were hitting 50 plus every single season, man.
Yeah, it's unseen,
unheard of.
Unheard of, yeah.
Absolutely unheard of, Finch. But they made it the normal. So if ever Messi or Ronaldo, if ever they got below 40, we'd think, oh, they're having a bit of an off year. When they're hitting career highs for any other footballer, man. These two are freaks of football. They are disgusting, man, when you think about it.
Yeah.
And that's what makes them the best ever.
Yeah. I think that's the reason we're lucky as well. I don't think they'd be as good if they didn't have the other one there pushing them.
No.
They know I've got someone up my neck who's nearly maybe the same level as good as me. And that pushes them to be better. That's why I think every other player in any other generation, maybe they didn't hit the heights, not just because they weren't as talented, but because they didn't have someone else breathing down their neck.
Didn't have all that competition they do these days.
Maradona, RIP, great life.
Yeah.
Maybe a bit too much drugs, but he didn't. It sounds like we weren't in that era, but it sounds like he was on his own in terms of how good he was.
Exactly.
He didn't have someone pushing him. Even Ronaldinho's peak was much smaller, only a couple of years, but he was on his own for that little period. He got nowhere near the amount of goals, but maybe if he had someone pushing him, who knows? And Messi and Ronaldo, they've always pushed one another in terms of goals, and they've always gone up together.
Fantastic rivalry between each other. Who can be the best? And they just took it one step further and further and further. And we've just been enjoying watching it along the way. And unfortunately, they are getting older, and these footballers don't last forever. But I feel like we're going to have just maybe even a couple more seasons, maybe 3 more seasons of seeing these two go at it.
I think it's just sad, the overall thing, when Ronaldo went to Juventus, because that ended that pure rivalry. Having Ronaldo and Messi in the 2 biggest clubs in La Liga, potentially 2 biggest clubs in the world, that was something absolutely phenomenal. El Clasico was a game everyone watched. But now the rivalry, they're still absolutely amazing players, but both of them Messi's at a club, Barcelona aren't the same as they were. Ronaldo's in a completely different league, different kind of setup to you. Was it
different style?
La Liga. Man, it's not the same, the rivalry at all.
It's not.
They're playing Champions League, but it's not the same. And I think that's why maybe they've still got unbelievable ability. Maybe that's why they're not. They're obviously older, but you don't hear the headlines of Messi and Ronaldo as much nowadays because they're not playing against each other regularly. People just appreciate them both more because they're not compared with each other as much. They're not directly hitting each other with their games. But I think it's still amazing to have them in our generation. I just think what could have been if Ronaldo stayed at Madrid for a few more years. I'm sure that would have made the whole league better. Maybe would allow Barca to continue being as good as they used to be with their players, because the league obviously dropped in terms of its overall quality when Ronaldo left. It was just a weird one, that, to be honest. Like Madrid have just gone down in quality.
It is an odd way. It made the league a lot more attractive to watch, knowing that you had these 2 superstars, not just one superstar. You had these 2 superstars in the league, but now you've only got one. And Barcelona aren't really the team that they once was. With and even with Messi can't do it all by himself, week in, week out. He's been doing that consistently for the past few years, and he's just getting tired of it. Ever since Neymar left, it seems like that Barca team just seems a bit deflated. And now Suarez gone, it's like the final nail in the coffin, Or well, I say the final nail in the coffin. When Messi leaves, that'll be the final nail in the coffin.
Yeah.
But it's just a whole different Barcelona setup. You got to think nothing seems right there. The team just doesn't seem right. The manager definitely does not seem like the right fit.
Not at all.
The players.
They sound on Messi. That's the thing. At least Ronaldo has a team. He's gone. Maybe it was a clever decision. He knew Madrid were in decline. Actually, it was his decision going to Juventus, who are a team in much better position to carry on winning the league each year and challenge for the Champions League. Their team's absolutely phenomenal. And especially their defence, and now the likes of Arthur they brought in from Barcelona. That's another issue covered from the podcast. is in a good position, but his transform, maybe that's why he's been able to come back against Messi, because he was in his early years. What made him so great was his direct running, his skills, his dribbling. And he changed his position over the years. Messi hasn't really changed his position as much. I wouldn't say he changed the style of play. Ronaldo's adapted to being a complete striker.
Yeah,
and was the best striker in the world because of it. Messi, I would say, maybe he hasn't adapted, and he's just stayed. He doesn't need to adapt because he's that good. But
exactly,
he's stayed in the same kind of play throughout the years.
Yeah, I completely agree. Messi, absolutely fantastic winger. Ronaldo was an absolutely fantastic winger. Messi, a fantastic striker. Ronaldo, unbelievable striker. Messi, better centre forward. I'd say Messi, they each have their pros and cons between them. It's hard. It's actually hard to actually say at least to have any cons. But I'd say, I wouldn't say they have cons. I'd say it's just one a little bit better at something than the other. Like Ronaldo is fantastic at being that complete striker. But Messi is like a centre attacker mid with his playmaking ability. Oh, mate, he's such an underrated passer. Whereas Ronaldo, incredible, absolutely incredible finisher.
Ronaldo is probably maybe a little bit better finisher in the striking position because that's where he plays. He is better with heading the ball. That's his natural position is being a striker now. He's an out-and-out striker, whereas Messi is that Ronaldo doesn't affect the game as much as he used to. He's now just looking for goals, and maybe with the build-up play, if he'll play a few passes here and there, but he won't be directly involved in assisting and playmaking and that kind. He won't be running the whole team. He needs a team behind him, Ronaldo, to get his goal. He needs service, whereas Messi, he can still do a one-man team. He can be the whole team. He can be a playmaker.
He can change the game in an instant.
Ronaldo, fair play to Ronaldo. That's the way he's been able to compete with Messi, by changing his position, being complete in one position, being the best he can in one specific set of skills in terms of goal scoring. That's the way he's had to adapt his game to continue so long. He's built his body to suit that as well. So it's become probably the best athlete there's ever been in football, I'd say.
Oh, without that, Finch.
But Messi is just an absolute phenomenal in terms of
he's like Ronaldo's like
different.
Ronaldo's trained his body, whereas Messi, it seems like, has been gifted this body. He's like born to do it. Whereas Ronaldo's trained to do it.
Yeah, I would say Messi's the most talented footballer to ever exist, but Ronaldo is the best athlete in terms of footballer to ever exist.
That's the perfect way to describe them both. These are two phenomenal athletes, Finch, at the end of the day. Fantastic footballers. And like I said before, we are just so lucky to we're having this debate about who is better,
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing which separates them, though. If you want a complete striker, it's Ronaldo, because he's defined that role in terms of he's the best in the world at that, and that's why he's been able to win the Ballon d'Or. Come back to Messi because he changed his role too. But Messi overall was the complete player. The thing which separates them both is the number of assists Messi's got. You look at all the stats; it's probably the only stat which is there's some slight difference with Messi getting 300 assists and Ronaldo 221, and Messi playing less games.
Yeah, but like you say, even with that, Ronaldo's still got 221 assists, man. That's a hell of a lot of assists for a selfish player. But like we said before, Messi is that sort of guy who, if he's on a hat trick and he's got a penalty, he will give it to someone else. Whereas Ronaldo, he's taking that penalty and scoring his 7th goal of the game all day long. The guy actually gets mad when other players score, because that is the mentality of this guy.
That's what I'm saying. The ultimate goal scorer.
Yeah, he's the ultimate goal scorer, and that's not a bad thing to be that selfish. That's what's got him there where he is today, Finch. Them stats is his selfishness, and that's something a lot more players need to do. A lot more players. Everyone's always said before, Eden Hazard, absolutely fantastic player, but he doesn't score enough goals. That's because he's not selfish enough.
Although Messi's not selfish, really, but he's similar. Hazard's probably more similar to Messi than Ronaldo. Yet Messi is that phenomenon. He can be not selfish, but also score 60 goals a year.
That's how simple he makes this football game look. That he can score 4 in one game and still end up managing 2 assists, and and laying off passes to players like Luis Suarez or Griezmann, who should put away their chances, but just doesn't. When Messi lays off that chance, Messi could have easily gone on and scored himself. That's the sort of player that Messi is, but Ronaldo's taking that shot every single time, man.
Yeah, and as you can see, there's benefits of both. So Messi's benefits of him leading this whole Barcelona team and doing that because he's been able to lead Barcelona to countless titles and Champions League. But on the other hand, at times maybe Messi hasn't been the ruthless finishing, just trying to get games won for the sake of them. Whereas Ronaldo, maybe his ruthless finishing has nailed him to recently been more successful in terms of Champions League, in terms of leagues. He's got much more Champions Leagues recently. Then Messi obviously getting that big haul with Madrid when they won, was it 3 in a row?
3 in a row, yeah.
Yeah, 4 in 3 years or whatever it was when he was there. And then obviously the difference with him
4
and
in 3
Messi
years?
nationally. Was it?
No, how can you win 4 in 3 years?
Oh, 4 and 5 years.
Yeah.
4 and 5 years. Bloody impressive. 4 and 3 years.
He's not that good.
No one is the best ever. The other thing, like that's why maybe Ronaldo's been at international level more selfish as well. He's been able to win a competition, whereas Messi, that's the one black mark. I mean, the one black mark in his career is international.
The one hindrance football. on his record is that he's not done it on the international stage.
He's only won a Copa America, that they just
no, not even won a Copa America, man. He's just won. I think it was an Olympic gold medal, which is still an amazing feat, but
it's not proper.
Not in the football world. It's not really anything to shout about. Any other sport, yeah, but not football. But it's something that I desperately hope comes for him, but it doesn't seem likely. It just does not seem likely. I know that Argentina haven't had the greatest squad over the years, but even when they had like a really solid setup and they got to the World Cup final, you really thought, okay, this is it. This is Messi's moment. He's going to captain his team and he is going to, do it on the grandest stage of them all. But, Higuain missing them chances. You just got to think, is it really Messi's fault?
Yeah.
Although with different teammates, with Aguero starting instead of Higuain, would it have been different?
You say that.
Questions, man.
Yeah. You say that, but we were saying earlier how big influence Messi has in Barcelona, how he's dragged them last year to do anything. He's dragged them in last few years to do anything. Obviously, when he came on the scene, he had the best team around him with Xavi and Iniesta. Yeah. But at international level, he's never been able to do the same thing, has he? He's never been able to drag Argentina. And people said, because he doesn't have players around him. But I think that's what Argentinians themselves. It's weird. The only probably people in the world who maybe don't think Messi's the greatest ever is people from his own country, because they all prefer Maradona, and that seems to be because of what he did in that international level. And they all say
he's done for his country,
Maradona had a worse team around him than Messi does, because he brought them individually he individually brought them to 2 World Cups and won 2 World Cups.
Then again, man, you got to think that Maradona in them days playing against worse players than there is today, Finch. Just like we had with the Pele argument,
Yeah. Although it's different though, because that when you say worse players, people say they were better defenders in those days. In the 1980s, they say everyone says that was the peak of defending. It may not be as good attackers, but in 1970s, 1980s, people say that was the best. Or 1980s, sorry, that was the best era of defending, especially with Italians. He was in the hardest defending league, in one the best eras in terms of a league's football. 1980s and 1990s in Italy, it's done better than that. And what he did is completely different. It's hard to compare him as well. I think that's just an era on its own. It's hard to compare it because what he did, he didn't do what Ronaldo and Messi were at the best clubs in the world. He went to Napoli, who won that bigger team at that point, and he won 2 league titles to them. But again, single-handedly, if you look at one single player in history who's been able to single-handedly I said 2 World Cups, I meant 1 actually, would have been a bit more of a feat there, but 1 World Cup. But he's a player which is single-handedly, been the biggest influence in winning his country World Cup, winning his club titles. He's probably that person. But if you're looking at a play overall over a consistent period who's been able to be at a world-class level, win countless titles, and he's not that one. But his achievements, you got to look at in a different lens, because he did something very different to he did things that shows how good he was. He did things Ronaldo and Messi haven't done.
Yeah,
Ronaldo and Messi have never gone to a B-level club and dragged them to the top.
No,
which would have been interesting to see.
It's crazy. It would have been very interesting to see, but I don't think it'll ever happen. To be fair,
and you look at the goals he scored at international level, like the runs he made, were very. I've never seen Ronaldo or Messi score the goals he did at international level. There's loads of highlight reels of those goals. Ronaldo and Messi have done miles better in club football, but international level, you just like the World Cup that made everyone shows that clip of that goal he scored against England, not the hand. I know exactly the one you mean. Yeah, the other, and I guess Maradona and Messi. There's always the comparisons between the goals, isn't there? They always do these comparisons between them.
Yeah,
all that shows how Argentina are blessed to have had two of the best players in history, probably two out of the three best players in history, or two out of the four.
Definitely, man. Definitely 2 out of the 3, without a doubt.
Because that
Without
his
a doubt.
era, Maradona, Pele is hard to judge. I'd say the best of his era, but maybe not the best of all time, but the best of his era, let's say Pele. But it's harder to judge just because that style of football was completely different. And he played in Brazil as well. He played in just Brazil. Maradona, he played in Europe and he played in the 1980s, not 1950s and 60s
like Pele.
Like Pele. And 1980s but 1980s, you had the best defenders in the world in that era. Well, some of the best defenders in the world. But you had he played against Bobby Moore, started off doing that against in Italy. They're absolutely crazy. The Maldinis of this world he played against.
Dude, well, like you say, man, Ronaldo and Messi, they play against some of the best defenders ever.
Yeah, but they play against some of the best defenders ever. But I think the attackers in this era are so much better. But defenders, it's like in 1980s Milan, for example, the defenders they had, like the likes of Maldini, he was around for bloody years.
Yeah,
he started in the 1980s, and
he was fantastic, Maldini. But I just think football's better these days. Like the last sort of 15 years, man, where Ronaldo and Messi have gracefully been at like the world class level, and in like 5 years, I had like 2010 hits, and these two are just bam. That is it, man. They're number 1 and 2 always. Like they are. Definitely. They went from being like world class along with others to just being on a whole nother planet once like 2010 hit. Messi scored 91 goals in a year.
Absolutely incredible
goals. Some players don't get 91 goals in their career, and they're a striker.
Yeah, you know? I think since 2000 it's been the best attacking era in world football. Yeah. I think they've been helped Ronaldo and Messi, but I think in this era there's more focus on attacking than there is defending.
Yeah,
just because like before you play 4-4-2, that was a traditional thing. That's a lot more defensive. That kind of formation. The formations were a lot more defensive than that in previous eras, I think, and like the whole Italian league and that league was just completely defensive. I think there's like a crazy stat, like was it Milan who won the league with like a crazy amount of crazy few.
I think they conceded like
goals,
5 goals, something like that,
and scored like 35 or something over the season.
Yeah, it was some crazy.
That sums up that league, that how defensively good it was. But that was like summed up in Europe at the time. Everyone was 4-4-2. Everyone was extremely good defensively. But then sort of switched with formations in the mid 2000s, where people were open a bit more to attacking football. Maybe that was with this Guardiola style of football. And since then, it seems like defending's maybe got a little bit worse, but attacking got definitely better.
Yeah,
so I think that's helped Messi and Ronaldo a bit. But they would have dominated any era. But I think maybe that's helped the amount of goals they've been able to get because of that. So it just would have been interesting to see like what a Maradona would do in this kind of era.
I think he'd be up there, but I don't think he'd dominate like these two have. I just don't think he would have.
Yeah, I think over a season, I think
he'd be like a Neymar. I think he'd be like a Neymar.
Yeah, I think that's harsh to him. I think because he's done a lot more than Neymar.
Oh, without a doubt. But I feel like play style and like the way that Neymar plays, and he'd probably be like a goal scoring Neymar. Let's say that.
Yeah.
I just don't think he'd be like Ronaldo and Messi.
Yeah. I think for a few years he might, because you got to remember, like Neymar's been to like the top clubs in the world. He went to the Napoli club, middle of the table. He took them to the top of the hardest league in the world at that point. Won a league that Neymar's done nothing like that. He can't drag a whole team. So I would say I would say over a couple of years he'd probably be able to keep up with Ronaldo and Messi. He just wouldn't have the consistency.
No.
I'd say Ronaldo and Messi got 10 years being 40, 50 goals per year and being the best ever. And there was no separating them with any other players in those like 10 years, was there? Was it between like 2009 and 2019? I would say there was no separating anyone else.
That's it.
I would say in those 10 years, Maradona could have got, in 2 of those years, could have got the same level as them, but no more than 2. He would have sustained it maybe for 2, but that's about it. And that shows how good he is. I think that, I don't know if you kind of agree with that kind of thing.
I do get what you're saying. Yeah, I do sort of agree, but it's just like, it's hard to imagine because football's changed so much since the 1980s, you know? it was a lot more hard hitting back in the
Yeah,
in the
it's,
1980s,
it's like
but it
putting,
was slower. But it was slower.
yeah,
Whereas now it's so fast paced, like a blink and
mm,
you miss it sort of thing.
yeah.
So players have had to adapt to that, and it's
Yeah, but if
like,
you're that good, you
how
adapt
would
to
you
any
even
era, don't
judge
you?
it? Like, would you judge Maradona from the 80s coming now into the 2000s, 2010s era and stuff like that? Or would you have Maradona getting the same facilities that Ronaldo and Messi had
Yeah. So,
and
so if
seeing
he had
how
the
he
same
gets on?
facility, that would be completely different, I think, because was never at it. He had one season at Barcelona. Apart from that, he
Yeah.
never played with Ronaldo and Messi. Had played with tons of better
They
players
played
than
with the all-time
Ronaldo
greats,
did.
Finch. Let's be honest
Yeah,
with you. Ronaldo and
Ronaldo was
Messi
on his own.
they probably wouldn't have been as great as they are now without the help of, say, having players like Xavi, Iniesta, Thierry
Mm,
Henry, Samuel Eto'o at Barcelona, and Ronaldo with Man United. Players with like
mm,
Vidic and Rooney, Tevez,
yeah,
even Berbatov, Paul Scholes, etc. And then he went
yeah.
to Madrid, plays with fantastic talent, plays with Raul and
I think that's the
Benzema.
thing, isn't it? You're exactly right. I think that's the difference between some of the other greatest players in the eras and Messi and Ronaldo. It's a key point there. The reason they've been so great is not just because they've been lucky in that they've
Yeah,
played for the greatest teams in their eras too. It's
yeah,
not that they
exactly.
obviously made those teams great, but there's other reasons why those teams have been great. And it's because they've been some of the other greatest players in the era
Exactly.
have been those teams. Whereas
The
you look at
all-time
other
greats
players,
they've been surrounded
yeah,
by.
yeah, you look at
Like we
other
said
players,
before,
race,
Messi played for the greatest ever, probably football team ever, Finch. The greatest ever team
definitely.
at Barcelona team.
At least club level team, I'd
Yeah,
definitely say. And Ronaldo, when he came to Man United were the best club level team in the world at that point. He went to
yeah,
Madrid, took them a few years, but then they were the best. They were probably the best club level team in the world at that point. That's why I won
yeah.
the Champions League. And when you look at other eras, you couldn't really say the same for players. Maybe for a few years they were playing for the best team in the world, but not like Ronaldo and Messi playing for the best team in the world over 10 or so years. So Ronaldo and Messi, I'd say 10 years, the teams they were playing for were top three in the world at least. Let's look at like Ronaldinho started his career at PSG, then went to Milan after Barcelona. Milan were the best top five in the world at that point. They were declining. Look
Yeah.
at Kaká, same kind of thing. His early career was in Brazil, and later career when he went back to Milan and that kind of thing wasn't. They weren't nowhere near as good. Even when he he didn't have the same kind of luxuries. The same with the Brazilian Ronaldo. He was
Yep.
at Real Madrid when they weren't at their best. He was at PSV. So and same Zidane, same kind of thing before he went to Madrid whilst he was in France. Even Juventus, they weren't as good. So it's quite rare the situation Messi and Ronaldo have had that play alongside the greatest players, other greatest players. There it is.
Yeah, that's a brilliant point. That is a fantastic point, to be fair. But
Yeah.
when you think of these teams, who stands out the most? It's Messi and Ronaldo. They may have played with the all-time greats, but they themselves made themselves greater than greats. They made themselves
Yeah.
gods of football. These kings of football, they made themselves gods,
Mm.
and that is why they are. I think that's why we're having this podcast at the end of the day, because they are that good. They may
Yeah.
have played with these most incredible players, the best of all times, but not the greatest of all times,
Yeah.
like these
I
two
guess
are.
the question you asked them based on that is, if you took Messi or Ronaldo out, what are their teams for the? Well, I guess teams. When I say Ronaldo is the only one which
Well,
has
you're
changed
seeing it
teams
with Real
throughout the
Madrid,
years.
Finch.
But
You're seeing it
what
with Real Madrid.
teams? Yeah, would not win the kind of competitions they've won by taking them out. So what would happen? What would have happened if you took Messi out, that greatest Barcelona team ever? I still think Barcelona would have won the Champions League and La Liga. I don't think they would have just hit the heights they did. I think they would have won some of those competitions. Maybe when I say greatest team, I'm talking about the Messi Suarez, probably the Messi Suarez and Neymar is that one, because I think that the attackers they had at that point would have been able to
Yeah,
compensate. Maybe not. I don't think they would have in the early years with just Thierry Henry, let's say, and Villa, or the era with Pedro, or the era with Eto'o. I think Messi was crucial in those years. Maybe that I think with the Suarez and Neymar are so phenomenal themselves. I think they would have won.
do you
They would have won
think?
the Champions League.
What,
But
playing up
Suarez.
against Ronaldo and
No,
and Real
I'm taking
Madrid?
both out. I'm taking both out that
You
time.
take him? Okay. I don't know, man. I think Messi was. It's MSN, dude. I mean, they got a lot
Remember
of
how good?
goals. Don't get me wrong,
Yeah,
but
Suarez got
Messi in that
40
team,
goals.
it was such a playmaker, man. Messi started it all.
Mm,
You got to think Messi changed games. That Bayern Munich
yeah.
game, that's one of my favorite ever games.
Mm,
It's just so. It's poetry in motion watching Lionel Messi just absolutely destroy a fantastic Bayern Munich team. Absolutely incredible
yeah.
Bayern Munich team. And the reason why all the players that Pep Guardiola has managed, he'll always say, even over his current players, that they're not as great as Lionel Messi. He'll always say it.
Mm.
Because of that reason, I just don't think
Except
Barcelona
Foden.
would have got that
He
far.
says Foden. He says Foden's gonna be
Oh
better.
yeah, Phil fucking Foden, who just sits on the bench. It makes
Foden's,
sense, doesn't it?
yeah, it's the only player's ever said could be better than Messi.
Fucking Phil
Phil
Foden,
Foden.
but yeah.
Will we have a discussion in 10 years' time? Is it Phil Foden,
Yeah,
Ronaldo, or Messi?
if Phil Foden or Mason Greenwood, the best of all time.
Yeah. But look, if you look at Ronaldo, I think Messi, like you said, that is the thing. And you made a good point that he is such a playmaker. His role to the team is so important. If you
Not
took
just
Ronaldo
that,
out,
Finch. He changes the game at a split second. I don't think Neymar nor Suarez couldn't do that. Messi doesn't just do it once
Ronaldo,
a game.
no,
He can do it three
Suarez.
times a game.
Yeah. Although you say that, Messi wasn't there when they had that amazing comeback against PSG, and it was Neymar who led that.
Well, yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
But that's they didn't win that Champions League that year.
Yeah.
They didn't win the Champions League that year. Let's not forget that.
And also, I think Suarez. You got to remember, like what Suarez did, like when that Champions League year they did win. What he did to PSG. Suarez is an absolute. I think Suarez over Neymar is in.
Suarez was the monster that year.
So I think Suarez could have inspired. Like he almost inspired Liverpool
at that point.
Look what he did at Liverpool. Almost was a touching distance to league, almost single-handedly. So I think he might have been able to inspire them. Maybe not Neymar. At that point, Suarez.
Mate, he had he had like probably the best single performance in a season. But I just don't think Suarez and Neymar could have done it. I really don't. Well, then again, saying that Suarez, Neymar, and Iniesta are up top.
But Suarez, like 2015, 2016, he probably should have got there. We were talking before about people who got Ballon d'Ors.
Yeah,
that year,
Suarez,
I think that year he might have done it.
Yeah,
maybe not the other years, but that single year he was that good. I think
he was fantastic.
He could have done it. That's I think it's hard, but I think that would have been the only. Well, I was thinking Ronaldo, because Ronaldo's such a goal scorer. You could have probably in many of the other years maybe replaced him with another goal scorer, and maybe they would have done a similar thing. I don't think the early years.
But who else would you have as a goal scorer, Finch, in them days?
I'd say, but
would Lewandowski been as big as much of a goal scorer with Bale and Benzema?
I don't know. I'm only talking post 2015, because I think between 2007 to 2015, Ronaldo was a more not complete player, but more involved in the overall play. He's more of a playmaker. When I say playmaker, I'm talking about crossing the ball, more involved in the build-up play, dribbling across the pitch, that kind of thing, not just playing centre forward. I think 2007 to 2015, if you took him out of the team, probably those Man United and Real Madrid teams wouldn't have won the competitions they wouldn't have won as many, because he was that important. I think post 2015 he's transformed into the complete striker, and I think because he's such a single position, it'd be easier to replace. Because before he's not so much ingrained in the whole team as he was, and that's probably why you say Madrid like now, but they've won the league since he's left. They down in the league last year pretty easy, and I think that's because he probably wasn't ingrained in the team. They were probably better coached for that. Whereas if Messi leaves Barcelona, he's completely ingrained in the whole team, the way they play.
Yeah, in the setup. Without Messi, they're nothing.
That's why I think it's different in Madrid, the way they play. Just at the end, he was just their striker. He wasn't. The whole play didn't revolve around him like it does with Messi. Like probably at Madrid, it's probably more important having Modric, to be honest, the way they play, than Ronaldo. But undoubtedly, Ronaldo, without his goals, he wouldn't have won these competitions. And it's hard to have a play. There's only a handful of players in the world. When I say replacing the striker, I meant you'd replace him with whoever the best striker is at the world at that point. So Suarez, Lewandowski, whoever you say. You say 2015-16.
Mhm.
you'd have to replace him with Suarez. If you want
Griezmann
the
or whatever,
equivalent.
or
Yeah, not like Griezmann wouldn't be anywhere near. I don't think.
no, it's
Messi, isn't that? I couldn't think of a player. That's the problem. You could think of a player to replace Ronaldo post 20. I keep saying post 2015 when he had that transformation.
Yeah.
Like you couldn't have a player to replace Messi, could you?
no, you couldn't, because you can't do what Messi does. Only Messi can do what Messi
Yeah.
does.
Exactly. Like Ronaldo, you can't. You can do what Ronaldo does 2008 to 2015, but since 2015, I think you can. I don't know about you.
Who?
I think Lewandowski since 2015, he's
He
a
has done
complete
a
striker.
he has been incredible. Absolutely incredible.
You look at the goals he's been getting consistently since let's just go since 2015 in the league, 30 goals, 2015-16, 16-17, 30 goals, 17-18, 29 goals, 18-19, 22 goals, last season 34 goals. That's matching Ronaldo basically in the league.
Yeah.
Well, the same matching is
He's also
matching,
up there in Champions League goals.
definitely. We look at last year, 55 goals last year in all competitions. Ronaldo got 37 in all competitions.
That's what I mean, man. He's the only really one who's getting these Messi Ronaldo numbers, isn't he? Consistently.
Yeah. The only other one you could do maybe is Kane.
Maybe
Kane's
maybe Harry Kane.
But he's
That's a good shout.
yeah,
Maybe Harry Kane.
Yeah. I've always got to take. I think you've got to put a pinch of salt leagues outside the UK. I still think there's a slight kind of like mathematical correction you've got to make when comparing stats from the Premier League players to non-Premier League players. Because I think the Premier League is the best league in the world.
Oh, it's
I think you're always going to score goals. Look at everyone started watching Bundesliga in lockdown. You could tell the quality is nowhere near as good. And there's a reason that Kane would get 50 goals a year in that league. I'm going to be honest. Probably.
Easy.
I do.
Easy, mate.
The biggest question outside of Messi and Ronaldo is how well would Messi do in the Premier League? Because everyone knows it's the hardest league in the world.
Yeah, Ronaldo's done it.
And that's one. If he does it there, if he comes to City and does it, I think that would. I think we're leaning towards Messi being the greatest just because of what we talked about in terms of how important he's been to his teams and the assists. But if he does it at City, let's say, then I think there's no doubt.
Yeah, I feel that. No, I feel that. If Messi went there, when say Ronaldo was there when he was 23 years old, if Messi was there when he was 23, I think that he could have performed at the level he did. It obviously wouldn't have been, I don't think, as great, but I still think whichever team he was playing with would have won the league.
Yeah.
At 23 years old, same as what Ronaldo was doing. Nowadays, I still think he'd transform the league because it's Lionel Messi, but I don't think they'd win it as convincingly as you think.
But I think the difference is Ronaldo at 23, United was so clear of other teams in the league at that point. They were by far the best Premier League team, one of the best Premier League teams of all time. There isn't the equivalent. Well, maybe Liverpool if they had a fully fit team, but they don't. There isn't an equivalent at the moment of a team which would be in the same position as Ronaldo had at Man United at that point.
Yeah.
So it's a tougher ask, and that's why I think it would if Messi went to City aren't in the best state at the moment.
Nope.
Then it would be an incredible feat because he maybe need. It seems they're so close that's the problem. He needs some. There still needs. I'm leaning. I used to be leaning towards Ronaldo, but now
I've always been
Messi,
but I've grown to appreciate Ronaldo.
Yeah.
A lot more.
Yeah. You can sort of appreciate either on, can't you?
Yeah, like you could definitely pick either or, and there's no one would question it.
Yeah, and that's because I think before people would question about it, and now I'm leaning towards Messi, but I sort of think to sort of stop the argument. There's always going to be arguments. The only way to stop the arguments is for one to do something remarkable at the end of the career.
Yeah,
and it has to be something like Messi going to Premier League and win the league with City. It just has to be something to separate them because they're too similar otherwise for the argument to stop. Or Ronaldo win the World Cup or Messi win the World Cup. It has to be something.
It would be one of them things that narrowed it down, mate.
Hmm. Yeah. But
Who
do you not
are you
think
picking for the end of this podcast?
before that, I think it's worth discussing. The problem is we could be sitting here in 5 years' time, and Messi could have finished his career. Ronaldo could have kept on going, and that could lead to more
Yeah,
questions.
that's
Thinking,
true.
oh, Ronaldo's been more consistent. Because I think Ronaldo's going to, although Ronaldo's 2 years older, I think he's going to have about 3 or 4 more years than Messi, just because
At top
of
level, yeah.
how he's built his body, how he's become this athlete obsessed, and how he's got a body of a 25-year-old
peak condition.
yeah. Whereas I think, and the way he plays, it's not as physically
25
demanding as
year old, I don't
Messi.
like that in 2 years' time.
Yeah, bloody hell. So do I. But it's not, the way he plays is not physically demanding. He plays is perfected the one single role. Messi, he needs his whole sort of ability. He needs his guile, the way he plays. He's the playmaker. He needs to be able to run across the pitch and players to have the drop of the shoulder and that kind of thing. It's more physically demanding. It's more dependent on him being quick of his feet, fleet of foot, whatever you want to call it. Ronaldo doesn't need that. He's just pure. He's like looking what Zlatan does. Directly comparable. Ronaldo can do exactly the same thing. Zlatan's doing it at 39. Great athlete, but I think Ronaldo's an even better athlete. So there's no reason why he can't do it.
Quicker, stronger, can jump higher even. Ronaldo is honestly, I think Ronaldo is probably the best header of the ball of all time. He is phenomenal in the air. Absolutely phenomenal. And even Lionel Messi, he's not a bad header.
Yeah, not bad, but that's why I do think Ronaldo is going to come out. They're close in terms of goals at the moment, but I think he's going to come out on top into careers. Let's say careers are ended. I think Ronaldo will be quite a bit ahead of Messi in terms of goals, not assists, but goals. Just because of the reason he's going to last for 3 years longer.
Man.
Who are you thinking? I think it's obvious who you're thinking.
What do you reckon?
I think it's just Messi because of the reason we talked about.
Yeah.
He's been more influential in his team. It's hard to separate them. It's hard to say definitely one or another because they've both been absolutely phenomenal. They've both been top, let's say,
best of the best.
For argument's sake, both top 4 out of all time at least. Probably top 2.
Easy.
Most people
definitely top 2. Definitely top 2.
But 100% of everyone in the world. I think anyone in the world can't say anything apart from being top 4 of all time. But I'd say 95% at least top 2. So because of that, it's hard to separate from what they've done. How Ronaldo's faced challenges Messi hasn't faced in facing the most talented football of all time, and then he's come back and being probably the most hard-working football of all time, and changed his game to be the ultimate goal scorer and come back against Messi's feat of 4 Ballon d'Ors. He came back. No one thought he could come back. He came back from that and won back-to-back Champions League not back-to-back, 3 times in a row Champions League.
Back-to-back, Finch.
Yeah, with Real Madrid inspired.
He won 4 in 3 years.
Yeah, and then Messi came back from that and won the Ballon d'Or in that period. And so it's hard to separate him from that. It's just when we sort of talked about the discussion, we took them out of their teams. Who would be the bigger miss? And you would say Messi just because his overall influence in play, the whole play with Barcelona revolves around him. Ronaldo,
exactly.
At the beginning, but recent years, no. But then you say that, and there's negatives and benefits to everyone. But the sort of the benefit of Ronaldo not being the centre of play is that he can continue for more years, so he can score more goals. So then you sort of see that as an advantage. So it's hard. Every con has a pro on the other side.
Exactly.
It's not like just saying Ronaldo isn't as influential, so Messi's better. But because Ronaldo is less influential, he can score more goals. So it depends on value.
That's exactly it, Finch. And even whoever we pick to be better, it's not like saying that they're better by a mile. No chance. These two are neck and neck, and whoever's better is only better by just a slight margin, if that, by just a slight margin.
Yeah. You used to have Messi way ahead, didn't you?
I used to have Messi, but like I said, man, it used to just be Messi, 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 Messi. No one else was in sight. But as I've got older, I just appreciate Cristiano so much more. I just think he's the ultimate footballer. I think he's absolutely fantastic. And all what he's done for football, I'll be forever grateful for, some of the games he's given us, the goals, the moments, his attitude, his cheekiness, his character in a way. You don't really get that with Messi. You don't get that sort of cheekiness that you do with Ronaldo. He's got more of a personality, but Messi is just all football. Ronaldo has his brand outside of football. He is I'd say he's probably the most well-known footballer.
Yeah,
Let's be honest.
Wasn't he for a period like the most followed person on Instagram?
I think he still is. Sure. I think he's got over like 100-something million followers or whatever. And, it's like he's built that brand outside of football. But he is a model and all sorts. He is everything that you want to be in life.
Yeah. But you say that he's got that model. But then I would say he's harder working than Messi because he's had.
Yeah, exactly. Because he's built himself to be like that.
Yeah.
So
Messi's had the tools from the beginning.
He's everything that you want to be in life, but Messi's just been blessed by like the footballing gods with that ability already. So it's really hard to judge who, but I'm just going. I've got to go with Lionel Messi.
Yeah, I agree. I just think rather than saying the greatest ever, you could probably say, like I said before, right? Messi the most talented footballer ever, Ronaldo probably the most hardworking and the best athlete ever. Because
the best athlete ever, without a doubt.
It's down to hard work where he's got to. It's not down to just natural. If he just did what Messi did, in terms of Messi relying completely natural talent, having probably the best talent ever footballer's ever had, he wouldn't have been anywhere near where he is now. Whereas it just like when you think about it, Messi's not needed to do what Ronaldo's done in terms of building himself as an athlete. If Messi did that, I don't know.
Could you imagine if Messi did that? Like, it'd be incredible, absolutely fantastic.
He's not needed to. That's the thing.
Exactly. Why I don't think it's not needed. It's not needed.
The only thing which is sad about that is that I think Messi also lives. It looks like he lives a complete football life outside the pitch. But if maybe he did. This is like I don't know why I'm saying this. You can't even criticize him, but maybe if he did follow Ronaldo's methodology a bit more, he could last longer.
Yeah,
at the top level. Because I just don't. You see it now a little bit. He's declining a bit in terms of his pace and his position and the position he has. I just can't see him last.
You say he's declining, but he's still. It's weird.
Still the best. When I say declining, it gets his level, but
exactly
his decline is still.
He's still a level
better than any other player.
Else. Yeah, his decline is. It's just like a little less than what Lionel Messi is. What we used to seeing Lionel Messi do.
Yeah,
I get exactly what you're saying.
Not anyone else's. I'm not talking about any other relative to any other player. It will still probably be when he retires the second best player in the world. For now, is the best. Yeah. But relative to his former self, nowhere near. That shows how good they are, I guess.
It just.
I think you probably turn up 50%.
Yeah, it's. If come 5 years, if they still playing, I just hope it doesn't come down to like a career-ending injury that just rules these players out for. Forever.
That's another thing we haven't talked about.
They don't get injured. They do not get injured at all, these players. They're the only two I've known to not have these like long-term injuries. Messi's been injured for like more than 2 months, I think, once in his career. Ronaldo, I can't remember the last time Ronaldo was injured for so long.
Not at all. When you look at the other players, he could have done it. People always say Brazilian Ronaldo. They said he was naturally more talented, maybe to a similar level to Messi in terms of his natural talent. But his career was, when you say ruined, it wasn't ruined, but it was definitely derailed. It was amazing what he did to come back from it, but by having the injuries he did have. So if that happened to Messi and Ronaldo, I'm sure it would have stopped them from being the greatest ever, having that kind of injury. So that's helped them, isn't it? Definitely, by not having any kind of injury like that. Because there's been loads of players like that who've had big injuries who have been unbelievably talented. Unbelievably talented. Like Ronaldo is probably the best example. Yeah,
Ronaldo could have been the greatest of all time. We could have been saying that he's in Messi, Ronaldo, or Ronaldo. But then that's what I mean. That's why I said, man, I hope that it doesn't end that way, and it tarnishes that sort of legacy. Like we're saying that how Ronaldo's own the best because Messi got that career-ending injury in that game once in 2024.
Do you think they should retire on the top though, or retire?
I don't think. I hope they don't end their career at somewhere like the MLS or whatever, but
Yeah. Well, you
or
never know.
India
They
or
could be playing alongside Wilkeen at Wigan Athletic.
oh God, not Wilkeen. You can't go one podcast without mentioning that fucker.
Imagine that front three: Messi, Wilkeen, Ronaldo.
You say about the top 4 of all time, was it Ronaldo, Messi, Maradona, and Wilkeen?
Yeah, you got me there. You knew I was saying top 4. You got to include. You got to include Mr. Keane. Yeah, I think on that note, that is another podcast. We've decided Messi, the greatest ever. Obviously, we're talking just this era. Obviously, we think Pele is the greatest ever, but just Messi this era. Is that correct, isn't it?
Yes.
You saying yes?
What, that Messi is the greatest ever?
No, you didn't hear me, did you?
No, what did you say?
I said we're just talking about this era, so we're talking Messi, greatest era of this era, Pele, obviously of all time, but
no, get out of it. Pele's not even top 4, man. Pele's not even top 10 in my list.
Pele's done it in World Cups. He's got to be above the rest. 17
against fucking Milkman, dude.
They were snapping his legs off. There wasn't even red
against freaking Milkman. No way is Pele making top 10,
if you look at Pele's stats, man, look at them.
Dude, Pele makes his own stats up on Twitter. He reckons he scored fucking 1,000 goals. Bullshit, man.
Look, you got to trust him. You got to trust what he says.
Every single time
stuff.
some fucker goes and breaks his record, he's like, no, I don't think so. Don't forget about them 200 goals I scored against them school kids that year. Like, what?
He had scored, like, according to Pele's Twitter, most reliable source out there, he scored like 2,000 goals. Ronaldo and Messi aren't going to get there. So you got to put him as the greatest, didn't you?
Dude, I'd have Johan Cruyff above Pele. Easy.
Pele's got to be top. You
no
can't,
way,
you don't
dude.
get those kind of goals.
You fucking do, man. I could say I scored them goals and I'd be number 1. Pele says that what was it, that one story about how the goalkeeper begged him to stop scoring goals on him and he made him cry and walk off the pitch. Have you heard that one?
No, I haven't heard that one.
That was on his Twitter as well. It was like one day in 1972, I was playing against this goalkeeper and he got so upset that I kept scoring goals on him. He walked off the pitch and cried. It's like, shut up, man.
You got to remember apparently he scored 1,281 goals, and you got to remember all these tour games. They weren't easy tour games. He was playing the likes of Ipswich Town in England when he did a tour game. Like playing the likes of Ibiza in Spain. They were hard tour games. So and he's scoring like 10 goals.
Discussion there, man. Pele's the best ever.
There we go. Pele is the best ever in the 1960s against Milkman. Messi.
Yep, against Milkman.
Against some proper footballers.
Yep.
Against proper footballers, Messi comes out on top against Milkman. I don't think
it's
Messi
obviously Pele.
Milkman.
Messi couldn't do that. No chance, man.
I couldn't see him doing that at all. There we go.
But there we go then, people.
Another podcast done.